Have you ever been woken up at 3 in the morning by that unmistakable, wet, bubbling sound coming from your dog's stomach? Before you are fully awake, you already know what happened. You switch on the light, walk into the living room, and find a terrible mess in the middle of the rug. Your dog is standing nearby with their tail tucked, trembling slightly, looking at you as if they have done something wrong. But they have not done anything wrong. They are uncomfortable, confused, and depending on the cause, they may be losing fluid much faster than you realize. So what do most dog owners do? They rush into the kitchen, boil some chicken, add a bowl of white rice, and hope the problem disappears by morning. Chicken and rice has been recommended for generations. And to be clear, it is not poison. For some dogs, in some situations, and for a very short period, a veterinarian may still recommend a similar bland meal. But it is not a cure for diarrhea. It is not nutritionally complete. It is not appropriate for every dog. And if your dog is sensitive to chicken, has pancreatitis, swallowed an object, picked up a parasite, or is developing a serious intestinal illness, chicken and rice may do absolutely nothing to solve the real problem. Today, I am going to show you what to do during the first crucial hours of an upset stomach, how to protect your dog from dehydration, how one simple spoonful of pure pumpkin may help in mild cases, and how to recognize the warning signs that mean you should stop trying home remedies and contact a veterinarian immediately. Because the most important skill is not knowing one magical remedy, it is knowing the difference between a mild stomach upset and a medical emergency. Chapter 1. The Chicken and Rice Misunderstanding. Chicken and rice became popular for a simple reason. It is soft, low in fat when prepared correctly, familiar to most dogs, and relatively easy to digest. But over time, a temporary feeding option became treated like a universal treatment. That is where the problem begins. Diarrhea is not a diagnosis. It is a symptom. A dog can develop diarrhea after eating garbage, switching food too quickly, receiving too many treats, experiencing stress, picking up intestinal parasites, reacting to medication, developing pancreatitis, suffering from an infection, or swallowing something that becomes trapped inside the digestive tract. Those problems do not all require the same solution. A bowl of chicken and rice cannot remove a parasite. It cannot pull a sock out of the intestine. It cannot reverse poisoning. And it cannot correct severe dehydration. There is another issue. Chicken is a common protein in commercial dog food. Because many dogs eat it repeatedly, some dogs may develop or already have sensitivity to it. If your dog's digestive problems repeatedly appear after chicken-based meals, feeding more chicken during a flare-up may not be the best experiment. Rice can also affect individual dogs differently. Some tolerate it well, others develop more gas, softer stool, or poor digestion. Seeing rice grains in the stool does not automatically mean the rice caused the diarrhea, but it can show that food is moving through the digestive tract too quickly. The real mistake is not feeding chicken and rice once. The real mistake is assuming that every case of diarrhea is simple and continuing the same homemade diet for several days without improvement. Chicken and rice is also not a complete and balanced long-term diet. It lacks essential vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, and other nutrients your dog needs. It should never quietly become their normal food, because their stomach seems sensitive. The better question is not, should I give chicken and rice? The better question is, how sick is my dog? And what does their body need right now? That brings us to the first hours. Chapter 2. The first 12 hours. When your dog has diarrhea, do not begin by searching the pantry. Begin by looking at your dog. Are they still alert? Do they respond when you call their name? Are they interested in water? Are they walking normally? Did they have one loose stool, or have they had 6 episodes in 2 hours? Are they vomiting? Does their abdomen look swollen, tight, or painful? Did they possibly eat garbage, medication, chocolate, grapes, xylitol, a toy, a sock, or part of a bone? These questions matter more than the color of the food you plan to cook. For an otherwise healthy adult dog with 1 or 2 mild episodes, no vomiting, no severe pain, and normal energy, careful home monitoring may be reasonable. Remove fatty foods, treats, table scraps, chews, and anything unfamiliar. Do not automatically withhold all food for an entire day. A short pause from food may sometimes be appropriate, especially when nausea or vomiting is present, but long fasting is not suitable for every dog. Puppies, toy breeds, pregnant or nursing dogs, diabetic dogs, elderly dogs, and dogs with chronic medical conditions can develop complications when food is withheld. For many dogs that are not vomiting, small portions of an easily digestible meal may be better tolerated than one large meal after a long fast. The rule is simple. Do not overwhelm the digestive system. Instead of filling the bowl, offer a small portion. Then observe. If the food stays down and your dog remains comfortable, another small meal can be offered a few hours later. But food is not the first priority. Hydration is. Chapter 3. Protecting your dog from dehydration. Diarrhea becomes dangerous when fluid loss begins to exceed what the dog can replace. A single loose stool in a bright, active dog is very different from repeated watery diarrhea in a dog that refuses to drink. Keep fresh water available at all times. Some dogs drink too quickly when they feel sick and then vomit. In that situation, offer smaller amounts more frequently rather than allowing them to empty an entire bowl at once. You may also encourage drinking with a small amount of dog-safe broth, but the label matters. Many human broths contain onion, garlic, heavy salt, flavoring powders, or other ingredients that are inappropriate for dogs. Choose a product specifically made for pets, or use a completely plain, unseasoned broth approved by your veterinarian. Broth can encourage fluid intake. It is not a guaranteed electrolyte treatment, and it is not a replacement for veterinary fluids when a dog is seriously dehydrated. You may have heard of the skin tent test. This involves gently lifting the loose skin over the shoulders and watching how quickly it returns to position. A slow return can suggest dehydration, but the test is not perfect. Skin elasticity changes with age, body condition, and breed. Look at the whole dog. Are the gums moist or dry and sticky? Are the eyes appearing sunken? Is the dog urinating normally? Are they unusually weak? Are they refusing water? If your dog cannot keep water down, becomes lethargic, or shows signs of worsening dehydration, they need professional help. Home remedies cannot replace fluids given under the skin or directly into a vein. Once the dog is stable, alert, and able to keep fluids down, you can think about gentle food. And this is where the teaspoon in the title enters the story. Chapter 4. The pumpkin spoon. Pure pumpkin is one of the most useful pantry ingredients for mild digestive upset. Not because it instantly cures every case of diarrhea, not because it kills infections, and not because it works like a prescription medication. Pumpkin may help because it contains fiber. Fiber can hold water, add structure to loose stool, and support normal movement through the colon. In some dogs, a small amount helps make watery stool more formed. It may also support beneficial intestinal bacteria as part of a balanced diet. But there is a detail many owners miss. More pumpkin is not always better. Too much fiber can produce gas, abdominal discomfort, or even worsen diarrhea. The goal is to begin with a small amount, not cover the entire meal in orange puree. For a small dog, begin with approximately 1 teaspoon of plain pumpkin mixed into food. A medium-sized dog may tolerate 1 to 2 teaspoons. A larger dog may need a slightly larger amount, but it is still wise to start conservatively and adjust only with veterinary guidance. The exact amount depends on your dog's size, health, normal diet, and the cause of the diarrhea. And check the can carefully. You need plain, 100% pumpkin puree. You do not want pumpkin pie filling. Pie filling may contain sugar, spices, sweeteners, and ingredients your dog does not need. Any product containing xylitol must be kept completely away from dogs, because even a small amount can cause a life-threatening drop in blood sugar and liver injury. Mix the pumpkin with a small portion of highly digestible food. A veterinary gastrointestinal diet is often the most reliable option, because it is designed to be complete, balanced, and gentle on the digestive tract. When that is not immediately available, your veterinarian may recommend a temporary homemade meal using a lean protein and an easily digestible carbohydrate. The best protein depends on the individual dog. Some tolerate chicken. Others may do better with turkey, white fish, or another protein they have eaten safely before. Keep the food plain. No butter, no oil, no seasoning, no skin, no rich sauces, and divide the daily food into several small meals rather than one large bowl. If your dog improves, transition back to their regular diet gradually over several days. A sudden return to a full bowl of rich kibble can trigger another episode. But what about slippery elm? The herb often described online as nature's Pepto-Bismol. Chapter 5. Slippery elm and natural remedies. Slippery elm contains a substance that becomes gel-like when mixed with water. This is why some people use it as a soothing supplement for the digestive tract. The idea sounds reasonable. A soft gel may help coat irritated tissue and make swallowing more comfortable. But this does not mean slippery elm is a proven cure for canine diarrhea, and it should never be described as having zero side effects. Natural does not automatically mean harmless. Slippery elm may interfere with the absorption of oral medication because the gel can change how quickly substances contact the digestive lining. This is especially important for dogs taking medication for seizures, heart disease, thyroid disease, pain, or other chronic conditions. Supplement quality also varies. A powder sold for humans may have different concentration, purity, or added ingredients than a veterinary product. For those reasons, do not guess a dose from a random website. Ask your veterinarian whether slippery elm is appropriate for your dog, especially if your dog takes medication or has an existing medical condition. The same caution applies to human anti-diarrheal products. Do not give Pepto-Bismol, loperamide, antibiotics, pain medicine, or any human stomach medication unless a veterinarian specifically instructs you to do so. Some medications can be dangerous for particular breeds, can interact with other drugs, or can hide symptoms of a serious obstruction. The goal is not to stop the diarrhea at any cost. The goal is to identify why it is happening and support the body safely. Once the acute episode settles, the next step is rebuilding normal digestion. Chapter 6. Rebuilding the gut. After diarrhea, many owners immediately return to the dog's usual full-sized meals. Then, 2 days later, the diarrhea returns. The digestive tract may need a gradual transition. Continue small, easy-to-digest meals for a short period, then slowly mix the regular food back in. Increase the normal food over several days while reducing the temporary diet. Probiotics may also be helpful in some dogs, but not every product labeled probiotic is equal. The benefits depend on the specific strain, the amount of living organisms in the product, how it has been stored, and whether that strain has actually been studied in dogs. A canine-specific probiotic recommended by a veterinarian is usually more predictable than randomly choosing a human supplement. Saccharomyces boulardii is one organism sometimes used to support dogs with diarrhea, but it is not a microscopic antibiotic, and it does not eliminate every possible cause. It should be used as part of a plan, not treated as a miracle cure. What about yogurt and kefir? Some dogs tolerate a small amount of plain, unsweetened fermented dairy. Others develop more gas or diarrhea because they do not tolerate lactose or dairy proteins well. That means kefir is not automatically the cheapest or safest replacement for a canine probiotic. Never give a flavored or artificially sweetened product. Check carefully for xylitol, chocolate, excessive sugar, and other unsafe ingredients. If your dog suffers from repeated digestive episodes, do not keep treating each episode with a new kitchen ingredient. Recurrent diarrhea can point to parasites, food intolerance, inflammatory bowel disease, pancreatic problems, liver disease, hormonal disease, or another condition that requires testing. Bring a fresh stool sample to your veterinarian. Sometimes the answer is hidden under a microscope, not inside the pantry. And now we arrive at the most important chapter, the emergency warning signs. Chapter 7. When home treatment must stop. There is a moment when continuing home treatment becomes more dangerous than the diarrhea itself. The first major warning sign is repeated vomiting. If your dog is vomiting every time they drink, cannot keep water down, or has vomiting and diarrhea at the same time, dehydration can develop quickly. Repeated vomiting can also indicate poisoning, pancreatitis, infection, or an intestinal obstruction. The second warning sign is severe weakness. A dog that is collapsing, struggling to stand, refusing to move, shaking continuously, acting confused, or becoming difficult to wake needs immediate medical evaluation. The third warning sign is abdominal pain. Watch for a tense or swollen belly, repeated stretching, a hunched posture, crying when touched, pacing, inability to settle, or repeated unsuccessful attempts to vomit. A swollen abdomen combined with retching can be a life-threatening emergency. The fourth warning sign is blood. A small streak of bright red blood can sometimes occur when the lower colon becomes irritated. But repeated blood, large amounts of blood, blood with weakness, or blood in a puppy still deserves veterinary attention. Black, sticky, tar-like stool is especially concerning because it may represent digested blood from higher in the digestive tract. Do not wait for black stool to correct itself with pumpkin. The fifth warning sign is suspected poisoning or a swallowed object. If your dog may have eaten medication, chemicals, grapes, raisins, chocolate, xylitol, a toy, clothing, string, corn cob, bone fragments, or another foreign object, contact a veterinarian or animal poison service immediately. Do not induce vomiting unless a professional tells you to do so. In some poisonings or foreign body cases, inducing vomiting can make the situation worse. The sixth warning sign is the age or health of the dog. Puppies can deteriorate much faster than healthy adults. Severe diarrhea in an unvaccinated puppy raises concern for infections such as parvovirus. Tiny dogs can develop low blood sugar. Senior dogs and dogs with diabetes, kidney disease, liver disease, Addison's disease, heart disease, or other chronic conditions have less room for error. These dogs should not be managed with a generic internet protocol. Finally, pay attention to duration. If mild diarrhea is not clearly improving within about a day, keeps returning, or continues beyond 24 to 48 hours in an adult dog, speak with a veterinarian. You do not have to wait until your dog is critically ill. Early advice is usually easier, safer, and less expensive than emergency treatment after several days of fluid loss. Let's put the entire plan together. When your dog has mild diarrhea but remains alert, comfortable, and able to drink, remove rich treats and unfamiliar foods. Keep fresh water available. Offer small, frequent portions of an easily digestible diet, rather than one large meal. A small spoonful of pure pumpkin may help improve stool consistency in some dogs. Transition back to normal food gradually. Consider a veterinarian-recommended canine probiotic. And monitor your dog, not just the rug. Chicken and rice is not an evil meal that must be thrown away forever. It is simply not a universal cure. Pumpkin is not magic. Bone broth is not an IV drip. A supplement is not a diagnosis. The most powerful thing you can give a sick dog is careful observation, combined with good judgment. Your dog cannot explain whether the pain is mild, whether they swallowed something, or whether they feel weaker than they did an hour ago. They depend on you to notice the change. They depend on you to understand when a simple stomach upset can be watched carefully at home, and when the safest, most loving decision is to call a veterinarian. So keep a can of plain pumpkin in the pantry. Keep unsafe human medications out of reach. Know the emergency signs. And remember that the goal is never to silence a symptom while ignoring its cause. The goal is to help your dog recover safely. If this video helped you feel more prepared, share your experience in the comments. What food, treat, or unexpected object caused your dog's most memorable stomach disaster? Subscribe for more practical, responsible guidance about your dog's health, nutrition, and daily care. And tonight, give your dog an extra hug. Hopefully, both of you will sleep through 3 in the morning.